Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we want everybody with an invisible condition, no matter what that condition is, to know beyond the shadow of a doubt, you do have a voice, you have a community, and you are never, ever alone. Speaking of not alone, where'd she go? There she is. Okay, I had too many things in the studio here. Michal's back for another episode. Yay. Welcome, Michal.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for being here. And so we have I'm changing it up a little bit. We're going to try something different going forward here. And first and foremost, like, let's talk about who you are and why you're here and what we're doing here, why we're doing this together. And then I'd love to we'll put a testimonial on the screen that you can talk about for just a second and kind of say, this is somebody that's worked with me and this is what happened. So who are you, Michal?
Hi, I'm Michal. Yes. I have a background in functional medicine, functional nutrition, as well as lots of other different holistic healing modalities and techniques. And through my own journey, at my worst, I was bedridden and I was a mystery to doctors and specialists. Once I started getting answers, it became clear I had an autoimmune disease, if not several, genetic conditions and defects, SNPs, polymorphisms, as well as like very serious allergies and chemical sensitivities to food, to environment, to lots of things, chemical scents, all of that. And so this was, I was in a lot of pain. I had a bunch of symptoms from A to Z. No one could figure it out. Yeah. And essentially, that's what led me to what I do now, which is helping people regulate their nervous system so that their body can get out of a stressed state and into a state where it is in cellular regeneration and repair all the time, which is better than any supplement, diet, modality, technique can give you. That's short term. And this is like having ongoing medicine in your body all the time, if you can be in a regulated state all the time. And so within a few months of doing that work in myself and continuing my research after that time, I have no sign of an autoimmune disease. I have no sign of a genetic disorder. All my lab tests are normal. No sign of my allergies. My lab tests are normal. And I was told those would be lifelong and permanent. And I'm also off my supplements and medication for the time I was on that. I'm off all of that, and I don't need that to manage any of those things. So that's what I help clients do, is regulate their nervous systems in about 3 to 5 months so that they can become fully healthy and not need all the crazy ongoing expensive Band-Aid approaches.
When you said something important there, you said manage. That's what so many people are so used to, and what so many people say, well, that's all you can do. If it's autoimmune, if it's hereditary, well, you can't get rid of that. You can't eliminate that. You just have to manage it. And so it's all about how do you manage it. And that's what you were talking about with all the supplements and all the trips to all the different places and all the things.
Yep.
And so, yeah, but that's not true. You can actually do it. So,
that's not my experience. I know. It's like, oh my gosh, a miracle. But yeah.
Right.
I see clients time after time resolve it. Yeah.
Speaking of clients, let's talk about Josh for a second.
Okay. I love Josh. Josh was amazing and also had very serious pain, especially like he would describe that his face felt like it was on fire. Hard stuff. Allergies, gut issues, anxiety, skin issues, and was managing it, right? So was spending like $500 a month on supplements and everything else. And no longer has to do any of that. So it's just amazing. I think he was one of the fastest people I've ever seen do this work. I think it was 10 weeks and it blew my mind.
Holy smokes.
He's one of the few people that holds that record of the 10-week mark. That's less than a handful, but usually people are a few months. So anyway, very proud of Josh, and this was years ago. So it's really neat. Sometimes I get little updates from him. He's gotten raises in his job and is thriving in life and doing a bunch of stuff, pursuing his dreams. And
nice.
It's so neat to touch base because it's lasting results. So.
And that's the ticket is you're not nobody's coming back to you for this happened, I don't know what to do. You give people the tools
Yep.
to do it, and then
They're
you
doing it.
that's some of the best. Those are some of the best professions, though. When you work your way work yourself out of a job, every client,
Yeah.
it's like that's the best. So
Yep. It's kind of like, hope you're doing good this year. Yep. I'm totally good. Great.
see you in a year.
Yes,
Yeah, talk to you later. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, I love that. So we are finishing up a series today that is the 5 core principles of living in the parasympathetic, which we've covered 4. You want to recap the 4, and then we'll talk about today what we're going to talk about?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So we'll see if I can go in order. So the first one, being present, talking about ways to, even if it's less than 60 seconds, to interrupt and pause and get grounded and present throughout the day, what that feels like in the body when the nervous system is able to regulate, building that practice. That's number 1.
Okay.
Number 2 is shortcuts. No.
Shadow work mirror.
Thank you so much. Yeah, number 2, I knew there was one in there. Number 2 is creating a shadow work mirror. What the heck is this? Well, essentially, if we are living in a state of fight or flight mode, that's more than just the stuff that's happening day to day. Like, there are other things going on. So we need to figure out what is unconscious to us that we're unaware of that's keeping us in that survival state. Well, how do you see something in your blind spot? Essentially, you use mirrors. And so the shadow is essentially anything unconscious or repressed. And so we teach you a very cool practice to be able to find and catch those survival patterns that you're totally unaware of, because that's where the magic happens. It's not trying to fix what you think is a problem, but discovering newly what you didn't know was the problem.
Love it.
Then we're talking about parenting ourselves versus taking shortcuts, and what it looks like when we're reacting from that wounded child, that trauma pattern, whatever that is, the immature part of us that just wants to do whatever we want and don't want responsibility, that kind of thing. The easy
It happens. Yeah.
Versus parenting ourselves and what that parent sounds like and feels like and how that parent operates. Learning to reparent ourselves from a healthy place, which is naturally going to shift us into a regulated state always whenever we parent ourselves. And then it's listening to your body and tapping into your intuition and learning what a yes feels like and what a no feels like, and learning all the areas where we can actually pause and check in with our body first so that we're not ignoring those gut instincts. Because every time we ignore it, we build stress and turmoil in our body. So,
yeah, it's a gut instinct for a reason, right?
That's true. And our nervous system always tells us it's not a mystery. It's that we have tuned it out. We have learned to tune it out. But as soon as you tune in, you can have those answers.
Love it.
Today we're following it up with the 5th and final, which is really how to resolve symptoms. Yeah. So
which is what everybody wants in the first. That's what you do all of this leading up to be able to do this step.
Yes. So very true. Yep. Yeah. That's why we're here.
Nice.
So try to cram that into our time today. I could probably talk for a week on that.
I know. Well, maybe we got to. Maybe this will be part 1 of step 5. I don't know. We'll just roll with it and we'll see what happens.
We'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
In the simplest of terms, yes. What you learn in these other steps is really like all the skills that you need, but you don't know how to apply those skills on the court in real life, day to day, moment by moment, until we get to this step, which is integrating them all together. So I like to talk about it like the Karate Kid movie. For those of you who don't know, go watch it. It's a great movie. But
the first one, the old school one, the one that had 3 parts, not the not the Jaden Smith one, the Ralph Macchio and
bingo. Yes. I don't even know if I've seen the new one. I didn't want to ruin the old one.
No, exactly. Yeah.
So this kid wants to learn karate. He goes to this instructor that is known to be one of the best instructors. And the instructor says, sure, I'll teach you. But first, I want you to paint my fence. And then he's very picky about the technique that the kid's using to paint the fence, right? You got to do it the right way. And the kid's throwing a fit, a tantrum, right? Our inner child's throwing a tantrum. Why do I have to do this? This doesn't mean anything. It doesn't teach me anything, right?
What does it have to do with anything?
Yeah. I know, right? When are we going to get to the good stuff? So then, after that or whatever, it's like, learn to wax the car. Wax on, wax off. That's a common phrase. Wax on, wax off. Yeah. And again, right? The kid's throwing a tantrum. When do I get to learn karate? So, he finally throws a tantrum big enough. The instructor comes after the kid has been doing this for many days, for a long time, and actually just like attacks him, right?
Like throws a punch. Yeah.
And the kid hit those muscle instincts kick in, and the kid actually defends himself. So the entire time he's painting the fence, he's waxing the car, he's actually learning very valuable skills. And so that's like what the other 4 are, is wax on, wax off, painting the fence, waxing the car. You're like, why does this even matter? And this is where it comes together, because anywhere that we have a symptom, a few things are in place.
Yep.
One, we, through the stressors of life, which are up and down, right? We have approached those ups and downs with unhealthy patterns. The unhealthy patterns are, I was sped up, I pushed through it, I grinned and bared it. I did not feel my feelings, right? I suppressed, ignored, I coped, I escaped. So there's something unresolved about the stuff I'm going through and what it's triggering in me. So that's why we need to be slowed down and connected. Number 2, we have put ourselves on the back burner and we're burnt out. And so what we're doing is we're doing all this stuff. We're taking care of everyone and everything else, but we are living with an empty, burnt out cup, essentially. Yeah. And so how can you stay regulated through life's ups and downs if you're on empty? No, there's no way. Right.
Right.
Number 3.
Not for very long anyway.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Then because we don't have self-awareness, we're sped up, our cups are empty. We did not listen to our instincts, our intuition, our discernment, Holy Spirit. We've talked about that, if you're Christian. And so because we are in survival mode, we're making those kinds of survival decisions, which tends to lead to breakdowns or messes in our life. So then we don't even have our intuition online, which means we're missing red flags or we're missing opportunities. Some people have so many opportunities, but they can't see them because they're in scarcity and fear. So then this is what we do, right? So we're like, I'm going to get that job because I need it from scarcity, but we ignore the red flags about our boss or the coworkers or the stability of the company or whatever. And then that comes crashing down. Or, there's very practical things that we make decisions with that tend to not work well for us in the long run. That adds to our stress.
Or you ignore the fact that maybe you would be an amazing business owner and you probably could do it and you wouldn't have to run and get that job. And you could probably thrive with a business based on something you love to do. You're just not there yet. Maybe that's why you're dabbling in this scarcity nonsense, because you just don't know, you're not there yet. So
totally. And then another huge pattern I see is when things aren't going well or we're not feeling well, we tend to try to change everything else, but address what's going on here. So then people try to change everything. I'm going to change my job. I'm going to change my living situation. I'm going to move here. I'm going to cut that person out of my life. I'm going to jump into this new relationship. That'll fix it. Ooh, and then it's like the patterns just repeat. So you might think you're trying to change stuff, but you just end up in the same miserable place. That's where I really encourage people to slow down, not make those life decisions, and really address what's going on here. And when you come from a grounded, clear, and committed place, that's when you can actually build a life not based on old patterns, but on new healthy patterns. So that's another sabotage I watch people do all the time. Okay, so then we're not doing those. Then we are not parenting ourselves. So our whole lives, right, there's shortcuts. And it really just adds up. I mean, the laundry's piled up and now the mail needs done and now the whatever's dirty, and then you're late on your bookkeeping, you haven't done your budget in 6 months. These things, right?
Right.
These things also then add up and accumulate stress. So whenever we have symptoms, one of these four are at play. So how we actually work through symptoms is looking at the origin of when the symptoms started. And really, we have a very simple process for that. And resolving it comes down to two main steps, really. So it's I know I said a lot, but really it's two main steps, which is feel my feelings, actually feel what's going on for me as a human, and then resolving whatever my inner conflict is, learning what's going to resolve this for me and bring me peace. What practical decisions do I need? What interpersonal support do I need? And then doing it. That's it. So before we go in, that's what we're going to go into. But before the break, I think I want to just share a little bit more context. We pull in a lot of stuff that we teach. Did you have something you want to share?
I was just going to say, before we do that, let me do one thing. I neglected to do this earlier in the episode, and I wanted to throw this out there because I know people are watching, and I know there's probably people with questions, and they're like, what? How do I get in touch with people? This is how you get in touch with people. If you're watching, you're probably watching on one of three main places: E360 TV, our YouTube channel, or our Facebook page. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, super easy to comment, super easy to just ask a question, say, hey, Michal, light bulb, this, I have a question, or this sounds familiar, whatever. You don't have to get specific. Just ask the question. Michal will get back with you. And the other is, of course, the QR code here that will lead you to her website where you can schedule a time to get an abnormally long appointment with her to talk about it. Yeah. And I say that because everybody talks about the 15-minute appointment with the doc, and you spend an hour and a half with them or something. That's just unheard of. So yeah, if you want to talk to Michal, there's your best bet right there.
Yep. So, happy to do it.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you so much for catching that. So, we pull from a lot of different things, and most importantly, we teach from our own experiences. Yes. So I just want to say that we boil down where symptoms come from in like 3 different categories. Okay. The origin of a whole brand new illness always starts 3 to 6 months after a major life change. That doesn't mean a major trauma, just a change. Yep. So the new job, the moving, the houses could be like a divorce or a marriage or having a baby or someone in your family passing or someone moving out, right? Doing your own mind map is really important. List your illnesses. Look up when did they start. Get specific. Then look in that, it's usually 3 months, but look in that 3 to 6 month window. What were the major life changes? You will
when you say mind map, can you talk a little bit?
Thank you. Yes.
That's a term that I know what that is, but not everybody might know what that is.
Yes. The simplest terms, you can make a list. Let's say make a list, right?
Sure. Okay.
A lot of people do mind map it out. They can make a timeline chart or something. Okay. But yeah, you look at your timeline. So, but you could start with a list. Just here's all my things. When did they start? The month and the year. Mm-hmm. Do not be vague. It has to be specific. Month and year. And then you can go in and start looking, okay, what was 3 to 6 months before that? What was a major life change? It's probably not going to be the ones that are super big and obvious. Otherwise, you'll just know if they are. Right. Otherwise, for most people, it's, I don't know, and I can't think of anything, because it's usually the changes are something we consider no big deal. And because we considered it no big deal, we never spent time to actually regulate or recognize that any change for our nervous system is a big deal. So that's the first. Second one is triggers. Whatever triggers us day to day is going to trigger a fight or flight response. So paying attention to those. Those will match your flare-ups if a symptom comes back or if a symptom all of a sudden gets worse. Okay. And then we have our chronic stressors, which are responsibilities and relationships in our life. So those are the 3 categories. We usually have 10 to 15 of the big ones. So
Okay.
I would say start there. And then when we come back from the break, we are going to look at how do we start resolving our symptoms and interacting with them.
Love it. Don't go anywhere, anybody. This is the good stuff. How to do it. We're going to talk about how to do it. So yeah, this is good stuff. All right. Thank you, Michal. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jake, co-founder and CEO of One Hope. My friends and I started this company in 2007 out of the back of this truck on a mission to enrich people's lives through wine. Today, we've grown into a state-of-the-art Napa Valley winery that proudly houses a portfolio of award-winning wines which have touched lives through over 40,000 nonprofits at home and around the globe. And it's happening every day. Being rooted in local communities and contributing to initiatives that uplift neighborhoods, celebrate cultures, and promote community. It's what got us here. You see, through every bottle sold, your purchase can make a direct impact on the causes you care about. One Hope's cause of choice has given back over $10 million and counting.
Hey friends, this is Ben Hummel. I'm the host of the Genius Way Show, where you'll learn to access your inner gifts, talents, and callings, and how to express them out in the world. Join me here each Sunday at noon Pacific time on the Achieve TV network, right here on E360 TV.
Hey, everybody. Before we bring Michal back and talk more about our topic today, I would like to talk to you about Invisible Condition University. Invisible Condition University is, something I wish would have been around 10 years ago. Every time that I would go into the hospital and have surgery, and I've had 6 surgeries since 2013. So let's see, two regular, 2 kind of just abdominal surgeries, and then 4 brain surgeries in the last 11 years. And every time we would go to the hospital, I would have the surgery, I would, do the thing, be in the hospital, and then go home. And the doctors don't follow you home. You can't really, it's not like they're a phone call away. And so every time we would go home, we would feel like we were on our own. And so that's why my wife Catherine, and I created ICU. We wanted to provide a place specifically where other people like us, maybe like you, could find community that listens, that cares, that walks with you, no matter where you are in the process or where you are in the journey of whatever condition you're dealing with. We meet on Zoom twice a month for an hour or more. Last time we met, it went for about an hour and a half, but however long it needs to go for everybody to answer questions and stuff. But we wanted to provide a safe place for patients and their caregivers to come and ask questions, vent frustrations, find information that maybe your doctors aren't telling you or can't tell you. So you're like, what do I do now? If you'd like to learn more or receive a free month of the membership, go to this website, myfreegiftfromjeff.com, scan that QR code. It'll answer all your questions, and can't wait to see you there. The next time that we will meet will be March 4th, which is the first Tuesday in March, and I look forward to seeing you there. So let's take that down and bring Michal back, and we're going to talk about one other client that she had, because it's a really cool testimonial. So we're going to talk about Regina for a second. Tell us about Regina and what the heck was going on there and what happened.
Yep, this is so cool. We're starting with the old ones. Man, this was like 14 years ago, maybe.
That's cool though, because 14 years later,
Yes,
you know,
she is healthy, and now she's helping her family get healthy.
love it.
Yeah, she was actually misdiagnosed by her doctor. They never ran full tests.
Mm.
So she was one that I was like, this is a thyroid issue. And she's like, well, my doctor said that was normal or whatever. I was like, I don't believe it. Send me the test. I was like, yeah, they only tested a few numbers. We really need to see all of them on the thyroid. There's like 11, 12 numbers just for the thyroid. So note to self, if you suspect a thyroid issue or thyroid symptoms, is your doctor running like 12 different thyroid tests? They usually don't.
Probably not.
Yeah, we supported her to have all of them run. And sure enough, it came back that yes, she not only had a thyroid issue, but she actually had an autoimmune thyroid issue. So once we were able to figure that out, we helped her to talk with her doctor about that, because then they had to diagnose it because we proved them the tests, that showed it.
Yeah.
And so she actually got conventional treatment, and then she worked with us on the natural part to be able to get her body back to normal. And it was so neat to watch her by the end, because she was able to actually wean off the conventional meds, which is also unheard of for thyroid issues. We're told that's forever, but her testing showed normal levels. And so they had to support her in weaning. And then the numbers still showed that they were normal even after she got off. So that's huge. And I think a huge hope for people with thyroid issues. So anyway.
Nice. And the best part is, this many years later, and she's still going strong.
Yes. And funny tip, because I grew up with her kids, so she knew me since I was a little tyke. And so that was kind of fun to have her come in. And as an adult, I got to make a contribution to her life.
That is so cool. I love doing that kind of stuff. Especially when it's somebody that you've known since you were a kid. That's even more fun. So yeah, love it.
Cool.
All right. So let's pick up where we left off. We were talking about whoops, that's not what I meant to put. Where did it go? That's the one. Awesome. Okay. Put the right key.
Okay, sweet. So let's get into the how-to.
Yeah. Yes.
And I'm going to preface it with this. By the point that we're working with clients on this particular thing, they've actually gone from a dysregulated state to a regulated state as their default. So they're not really having the day-to-day ongoing chronic illness problems. They might be having flare-ups.
Yep.
So if you're trying to tackle a full-blown illness that's like every day, every week, all the time, don't do this with that. You need the previous work for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
This comes into play if there's something that has been resolved or gone away or is much, much better, and then all of a sudden it's back, it's worse, whatever, right? People, try cleanses or diets or things, and then it gets better for a while, and then it gets worse. Yeah. So this is the point to work through that. So what we do with flare-ups is we actually look at around that time the symptoms started, what was going on in life.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really get the body testing down that we talked about a couple weeks ago, what's cool is you can ask your body, you can actually look at the calendar days and ask, when was the stressor, right? When was the stressor? Was it yesterday? You'll get a no. Day before? Ooh, yes. Okay, what time? Was it before 12 o'clock? Was it after 12 o'clock? You can kind of narrow it down that way as well. Which just helps. But you can also just use logic and reasoning. So you're looking for what was a stressor or a trigger. It could be on something unexpected. It could be, I worked with a woman today. I haven't talked to her in probably 7 months.
Mm-hmm.
So this was, she hasn't even flared up and didn't need to reach out to me until now. So that's really cool, right? So
it's really cool.
You can live symptom-free. And what it was for her, she had a baby. She's nursing. And so she was kind of just realizing, I think I need to start working out. I don't like that I'm still 20 pounds over what I think I should be. And that's actually that's the stressor we tied it back to. That's more like a thought, right? And then I'm working out because of this, but I don't really feel good, There are other things. Like I talked to a woman yesterday. Some of her flare-ups were at one of her jobs. She took on an extra project.
Mm-hmm.
She knew her week was very extra full. And at the moment she could have taken a break, she went and did extra stuff on her to-do list. So she like pushed through.
Because you want to be efficient and
Yep.
get stuff done. And yeah.
Exactly. And I'll feel better if I get stuff done, but then you're burnt out. And so it was
you don't.
interesting because as we were going through each of these examples that seemed like no big deal, the theme was the same. I pushed through and didn't rest. I felt tired, and instead of resting, I did something else on my to-do list. You know, it's like not listening to those cues. So it's different for all of us. But that's something that's helpful. I'm trying to think if there's any other examples. I mean, those are from this week. So the first thing we want to do is find what the trigger was.
Mm-hmm.
Then, so we're not dealing with symptoms anymore. We're dealing with life.
Yes.
What part of life is stressing me out? What part of life triggered me? What part of life, whatever, is not working? And my body's telling me it. Then we look at what are my real feelings about this. Most of us suppress our feelings. So it's really important to just dump it out, not get all caught up in it, but just like, yeah, I was feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, exhausted. I'm a little afraid because, you know, the one lady had a life change coming up. That's why she's cramming in all this stuff, because I got to get all this done before that time. So now she's afraid of the life change too. That's coming up. It's like, oh my God, am I ready? She's going to move. Is she ready to move across the country? Right.
Oh, wow.
So there's like lots, right? So then it's like, yeah, like, can we sit down and feel our feelings and know what we're feeling and support ourselves through that with compassion? Yeah. Then, so that's step one. What am I feeling? Step two, I'm going to rewind back to step one. I always tell my clients this. The life's ups and downs do not cause our flare-ups or symptoms.
Okay.
It's that we are suppressing and bottling up our feelings about life's ups and downs. So we will only flare up in our body if we're suppressing and building up that stress and tension and pressure.
Yeah.
So that's why I say feel your feelings. It is so important, because if you flared up, by definition, you have suppressed your feelings, and you've also done all the other things we talked about, the 4 other things. So slowing down and connecting, we do that through our feelings.
Which we did in a previous episode.
Yes. Then we can parent ourselves. Then we can do the other stuff. Then we're feeling our body's responses, yes and no, that it naturally leads to that. So feel our feelings, so important. Now, step number 2 is, how can I resolve this conflict? Obviously, I'm in conflict, inner conflict. And whether you think you are or not, your body is telling you that you are. If you're flaring up, you have an inner conflict. Yep. So we need to bring an inner resolution. And people always say, well, how do you figure that part out? Well, everything I've taught so far. If you slow down enough and you ask, your intuition will say it, your mind will say it. If you need help and you really can't figure it out, reach out, scan the QR code. We'll help you do it. We've got a free Facebook support group as well. We can interact in there too, just to help you with some tips and ideas and questions. But what I do is I just ask myself, and I use logic and reasoning, like human wisdom, right? Discernment. And I say, how can I be at peace about this? What is in the highest good for everyone regarding this situation? I still reach out to my coach and mentor as well, just so I have accountability too. And usually there's something practical. I need to set a boundary. I need to reschedule the thing. I need to change my schedule a little bit. I need to spend 10 minutes planning for the trip instead of waiting to the last minute to pack my things. You know, there's practical things that come up, right?
Right.
So if you sit with it long enough, like meditate on it, right? You know, let the answers come, pray about it. And the other thing is, then I also look at, how do I resolve my own inner turmoil? That's like doing my shadow work, my self-discovery work, my personal development, taking responsibility, catching my unhealthy patterns. That's what teaches me. Oh, I still was people pleasing. Oh, I'm putting myself last. Oh, I was too sped up to think through that. I need a personal policy that I don't ever put anything on my calendar without asking my body first. Or I don't say yes in the moment. That's one for me. I used to just be, oh yeah, that sounds fun. And I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. I'll check my schedule and get back to you. That's now my personal policy. I learned that from a flare up.
Yeah.
Guys, okay? Because that was the problem and then I saw the theme that I was doing that a lot. So I was like, hey, it's a theme now. It's a pattern now. Once you see the pattern, you can correct it. So most of the times it takes several processes on working through a flare up to recognize a pattern. But once you do, oh my God, you almost stop flaring up because you stop the pattern. Nice. Once you see the pattern, you're beyond it. You're already beyond it to see it. So that's the gift of slowing down and doing the self-discovery work every time we have a flare up.
Nice.
And love sometimes that. For me, my answers are I need to reach out to a coach or a mentor or, whatever it is. So the sky's the limit. The point is I want you to start slowing down and asking those questions and seeing what you can come up with. Then I have a few extra questions I always ask for self-discovery and introspection and shadow. First question, how do I know I was putting myself last and ignoring my intuition regarding this particular issue? Because for you to flare up over that issue means you were already not conscious. You were in autopilot, speeding through life, living from old patterns and habits. So number one, how do I know? Like, what were the indicators around that time that I was in a stressed state?
Okay.
What was I doing or not doing that if I was slowed down and being mindful of myself, I would have, I normally do the dishes and now they've piled up. Or, right, I usually take my quiet time, but I've been skipping it. Or, there's things like that. Oh, I stopped budgeting, or, oh, I stopped working out, or, oh, now I'm eating out. I'm not even cooking anymore. I'm eating out, and I know that's a drain on my budget, and I shouldn't be doing it, but I've just been too busy and drained. Look for those indicators, okay? Or I binge watch Netflix. There's always going to be signs of it.
Yeah.
It's no surprise when you have eyes wide open that you're flaring up. Okay. Number two, what was the first indicator that something was off about this? Our bodies will tell us, our intuition will tell us, and we usually ignore it. Sometimes it's a thought. Well, I hope that works out. No, I don't do that. Anytime I think that, I'm thinking, I got to think this through.
Yeah.
Next one is, if I could do this over and be totally healthy, totally conscious, totally at peace, how would I have done that? When you run scenarios over in your mind, it actually rewires your brain. So next time you're faced with that situation, you actually have capacity to do it differently. So daydreaming, it's almost like if if you're nervous about giving a presentation, they say run it through in your mind, practice in your mind, because then that's going to be there. Last one is, let me think. It just left me. Hold on. I think I wove them together. Okay. I think I combined a few. So those are also good introspective questions. As soon as you flare up, see what this opens up for you. And if it's still a mystery, feel free to reach out. And then we'll give some more tips after the break.
Perfect. Love it. And we have one more testimonial coming at the beginning of the next segment too. So everybody stick around for that, because these are awesome. I love testimonials. So everybody stick around for that, and we will see you in just a couple of minutes. See you soon.
Hey there. Every time someone comes into your business or website and uses their card to pay, a percentage of that gets folded back into the system. But it can go to Hydro with Hope instead. If you'd like your business to support us rather than feed back into the system, scan the QR code and we'll show you how to do that while saving your business money.
Tired of losing cell service in dead zones? Concerned about connectivity in emergencies? There is now an answer. Introducing the Love Pod. The world's first affordable encrypted global internet Wi-Fi hotspot connects with multiple service carrier networks and is satellite assisted when no service carrier networks are available. So it works virtually anytime, anywhere. Connect up to 9 devices, like our cell phone, laptop, desktop, TV, security cam, and more. Stream, chat, text, download, and make phone calls, all with no roaming fees. With mesh capability, the Love Pods will grow in strength and speed with each new pod activated to create a private terrestrial-based intranet called Love Global Network. The Love Pods are dual blockchain encrypted with Love's proprietary 2048-bit cube chain encryption, giving you the ultimate protection in data privacy and security against digital attacks and hacks to your devices. You are no longer tracked, and your data is never sold. Get the Love Pod, your private, encrypted, portable global internet Wi-Fi hotspot, and stay safe and stay connected.
Hi everyone, I'm Andy.
And I'm Minna.
We're the hosts of Chronically Healthy Life.
Join us Fridays at 7 p.m. Central Time on Vitality TV to see how we flip the idea of chronic on its head and create chronic health.
Whoops. That was my mistake. That was my finger accidentally touching something during that video.
I hate that. I know.
Whoops. Sorry, Andy. You can come find me later.
I know. Although I always love when we make mistakes, then we come in laughing. So that's always fun.
Man. Yeah. It's like, oh, shoot. Oh, I didn't mean to cut him off. Sorry. By the way, he's been on the show and he's awesome. And he has his own show, of course, which is what that ad was. But he's been on our show and he was absolutely amazing. So if you haven't seen Andy Nam, he's great. So go check that. I think it was season 3 he was on there. So go check it out.
Nice.
But anyway, okay. All right. So we have one more. We want to talk about Denise for a second here, and then we'll kick off the last thing that we want to talk about here. So Denise, whoops, there we go. Tell me about Denise. What's going on there?
Yeah, well, what I love too is Denise is a nurse. And so It's so fun because I think people might have I don't know. There's a stigma about holistic health. And then we're not even quite that. You know, we also talk about the limitations of holistic health as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, that stigma that it's woo-woo or weird or not recognized. But we do have a lot of health professionals, licensed professionals that actually come to us to become well. And so that's really neat. So she's a nurse. She went through our program. She had so many things. I forget the amount of medications, but I'm pretty sure it was like 10 to 12 meds.
Wow.
That's their paradigm, right? And her whole goal was, I want to come off of these. And by, I think it was only 3 months, about 12 weeks. And she went from that many to like 2 meds.
Nice.
And so she had autoimmune stuff, you know, diabetes, a lot of PTSD stuff, you know, the Epstein-Barr virus, which is supposed to be permanent forever, you know, food allergies, gout, like a bunch of different stuff. She had so many things. But it was really neat to watch her transformation of all that and to be able to get off meds so quickly. And we don't manage or advise that. That's coming from her overseeing prescribing physicians that are able to do that. So that was remarkable. And yeah, I still get to hear from her from time to time. And it's just neat to watch the transformation. And I think what stood out to me about her was not just her physical health, but like she got to work through a lot in her personal relationships. And she got to get out of a toxic relationship with a spouse and set some boundaries with the kids. And it's just like to watch people value themselves and get a voice and really get out of abuse is also just beautiful. So,
and I love what you said about the physician, like her getting off her own off the medications. That's something that like, if like no physician is going to be like, yeah, go ahead and stop taking that unless the symptoms are not there, right? So that unless there's no reason to take it, they're going to want
Exactly.
you to stay on it. So the
Yep.
fact that she was getting off of all these medications means those symptoms were disappearing.
Yep. And
And
her
so-
labs were improving. Yes. Which is
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. We don't touch meds. We leave that to people and their prescribing physicians.
Right.
But that's what's so cool is the prescribing physician is saying, okay, yeah,
Right.
you don't need that. We got to get off this. We got to decrease the dose.
You don't have to do it. They do it for you.
Yeah.
So
Very
yeah,
cool.
it's awesome. All right. So we got about 10 minutes left or a little bit less. What do we got left here?
Well, I was I know I do this every day, so I know what I mean and I know our language, right?
Yeah.
I was just curious if you had anything to share. I know you've experienced going through some flare-up processes and or if there was questions that you think might help our audience.
The questions like for
I don't
regarding
know, this
just
topic. I just want to make sure it's clear, and I feel like I'm talking about a unicorn, to be honest. I'm trying to convince people that no, I really have seen a unicorn. It exists. You can have your own unicorn. So I just want to help people relate.
Okay.
To what we're sharing.
I see. I got you. Okay. Well, so yeah, flare-ups. I mean, so to be perfectly transparent here, I've been working with Michal and one of her associates for a few months now, and gone through the program, and we are at the point of flare-ups now. We have worked through the program, and now we get through all of that so that we can address flare-ups, and so which is a very exciting place to be.
Yes.
And flare-ups, yeah, I think the coolest part about it's going to sound really weird to say the coolest thing about flare-ups, but it's cool because now that I have the know-how and and the education and the over the last few months, been able to practice all these things we've been talking about the last few shows. I know what a flare-up is, and I can see it coming almost. You can almost see it coming.
Yes.
And you say, oh, but if you are sped up, if you are up in your head and you're thinking about too many things, or you're up late at night because you can't fall asleep because you got 15 things running through your head, all that kind of stuff will just it'll eat at you, and it'll eat you away until you realize that it is just a flare-up. It is just something that is happening, and you just have to address it. It's just like any other symptom in your body. If you have a fever, it's just a symptom of something else that's going on. So you treat the fever, I guess, but you treat it, you don't medicate it. You treat it by figuring out what else is going on in your body and addressing that so that the fever goes away.
Yep.
Same thing here. I've been able to, and there are still a couple recurring flare-ups that I'm still trying to, we're still working on, because it's something that's been ongoing and will be ongoing until a situation changes. But so it's like a lifelong process. But yes, I have definitely seen the benefit of addressing the flare-ups and recognizing that it is. I think the biggest thing is that you recognize it ahead of time.
Yes, which has happened for me too. Yeah, I can foresee it. I can almost predict it now.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I love what you said, the situation, I'm going to be faced with the situation for a while. And most people, like flare-ups and stressors, triggers, situations, don't have to be collapsed. Right now they probably are, but the more we work through the flare-ups, at the end of the day, you're not going to be having symptoms. You're just going to be working through the stresses and situations of life.
Yeah.
Without physical symptoms, which is so nice. And that's where I am most of the time. Is I can deal with the stressors and triggers and recognize those for what they are, but I don't have to throw a fit in my body or whatever, which is really cool. So I love that. And the other thing, maybe what I'll share for our last 5 minutes, 2?
We got about 3
minutes. See if I can do this.
Beautiful.
There was a German doctor who got cancer 3 months after his son died in a freak accident. Caused him to spend the rest of his life researching the connection between unexpected events and traumas and stress and conflict and physical health issues. And so he By the end of his life, by the way, his cancer went away. He figured it out.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then he documented over 40,000 cases by the time his life was over, and had 40 of his colleagues duplicate. So now we're in the millions, right?
Man.
What he did with all these people was he ran scans on their brains. He did brain scans and MRIs and extensive case histories. And here's the crazy thing he found. 2 crazy things. 3 crazy things. One, there's so many crazy things. One, there were lesions detectable on the brain scans. Everyone that had the same lesion had the same illness in the body.
Huh.
So he could tell from the brain what was going on in the body, and he could tell from the body what would show up on a brain scan with 100% accuracy. There were 0 anomalies.
Whoa.
That's huge. That is a
Yeah.
huge, significant finding. Here's the next crazy part. Everyone that had the same lesion on their brain, that developed the same illness in the body, had experienced the same kind of life stress 3 months prior to the onset of symptoms, with 100% accuracy and 0 anomalies out of millions of people, right?
Yikes.
Millions
Okay.
of assessments.
All right.
Here's the next crazy thing. He would bring in people to help them resolve their conflicts, practically, emotionally, psychologically, whatever, would develop resolution for them. He'd rescan their brain. Lesion would be gone. Would do an MRI, and there was already cellular healing that had taken place.
Wow.
Some people's cancers were gone. Some people's illnesses gone. Some of them were just in a healing phase or a healing process. But as soon as he could get them scanned, there had already been positive change.
Wow.
And so that's also significant. And so it's really cool studying his work, because we know I've looked at those brain scans and studied those for like 15 years. And so it's really neat because the body is communicating with us. It's not a mystery. It's not scary. We can literally say, oh, you have cold sores. Here's the thing. Oh, your right elbow has arthritis. Here's what that means. Here's the type of brain scan information that tells us. And so we can brain map this to help you understand exactly why you developed the illness and what to do to resolve it.
That's so cool.
Just had to share that.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, geez. All right. So I hope you guys are taking notes, because that just blew my mind. With that many anomalies all coming together at the same time. That's so cool. Oh, man.
Cool.
That's awesome. Well, so we're out of time. But we got everything in that we wanted to this time, I think. So that was good, right?
Yep.
We need to do okay.
I think we
Awesome.
did good.
Well, we're good. So that was step 5. So when we come back next show, the next time we're here with Michal, we'll have a whole new thing to talk about. And we're not going to tell you about it, though, because we're going to surprise you for the next episode. So thank you for being here, Michal. Thank you so much. All right, everybody, here we go. We are almost done, but I wanted to put this up here one more time. So if you are watching, get out of the way here, Aaron on TV. I don't know if you can see that. I got to redo that. You can see the Facebook and YouTube, though. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, thank you for being here. And if you are watching on E360 in your living room, thank you. If this is your first time watching, we're so glad you're here. And if you've been watching for a year or more, since the beginning, we're so thankful you're here. Join us for the next show, which will be on February 7th. February 7th. No, that's not right. What am I looking at here? February 21st. February 21st. That's the next episode that you want to tune into. Join us for that one, February 21st. And boy, my calendar was all mixed up there, wasn't it? Anyway, welcome to Live TV, everybody. Thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. And I will look forward to seeing you on the next show.